Good morning, everyone. And I'm excited to do this video. I've been thinking about it and planning on it and working it out. And I'm going to call it the power of repetition. And let me just give you some backstory. Last year, my family, we were watching the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray and Andy McDowell on Groundhog Day. Okay. And because of my own leadership journey, I started to see the film in a different way. And it really changed my perspective of the film. I already enjoyed the film because it was funny and silly. And, Bill Murray is such a comedic guy, such a funny guy. But as I watched it this time with my family, I started to see it differently. And so if you haven't seen Groundhog Day, stop this video and go watch that one because it'll help you understand what I'm about to talk about. And I got to tell you right off the bat that I watched it yesterday in preparation to kind of put some final thoughts together. And I've been praying so that way the message I deliver gets to the people that need to hear it. Okay? So, the premise of Groundhog Day is that Bill Murray is a weatherman and he gets stuck in Pennsylvania at the Puxatawny Phil Groundhog Day event. Okay? And he's in a time loop. Every day the day repeats, the day repeats, the day repeats. And he does all sorts of different things. Some bad, some good, some terrible. And through the course of this process of his kind of discovery of what happens when he does X or does Y, um, the day continues to reset. The day continues to reset. And you see him go from robbing an armored car to being rude to people to all different kinds of things, stealing the groundhog. Um, and he just goes through this iteration of how to live the day differently. And at one point, at one point, he's kind of connected with um, Rita, which is Andy McDowell's character, and it seems like maybe there's a little something there. Well, he actually listened to what she was saying. Not listened to take advantage of her, but listened to what the kind of man she was describing. And while his character is egocentric, I believe his name is Phil, his character is egocentric and he's really just feels like he's this big shot weatherman. He listens to what Rita says. And for some reason, when he saw her for the first time as the movie opens, she caught his attention. And I don't know if you have a marriage where your significant other or you caught the other's attention just in the initial seeing of the person. So here, Bill Murray's character has a big interest, but he's not really the kind of guy that Rita wants to be with. And what happens is as he goes through this repetitive process and he continues to go and start to figure out, how do I become this man? How do I become this guy? He starts timing things and figuring out the timing for things. and start showing up to catch a kid who falls out of a tree, and to um, jack up some old ladies who are coming to the Groundhog Day event, jacks up the car and changes their tire. He starts doing these acts of kindness, and he starts um, learning to play the piano, and like all these different things. And one of the fun things around the movie is all the speculation of how long Bill Murray's character was caught in this time loop. In fact, there's a deleted scene, if I remember correctly, where he actually he goes to this lady's house who's a piano teacher, and he pays her to teach him how to play the piano. Well, in the deleted scene, he reads one page from the books in her library every day. Every time he comes back, he reads a book, or one page, one page, one page. And so in the deleted scene, it gives you an estimate of how long he was in the time loop, because he says the number of pages he read or the number of books or something, okay? But here's the thing. That's just a little bit of fun trivia around it. And, people have said 1,000 years, people have said 100 years. However, the real awesome thing about the story is that, one, Phil decides to change. He decides to become a different person so that he can qualify to be the love interest of Rita, Andy McDowell's character. And so he starts repeating good habits. And one of the really cool things that the movie does is the community builds up this genuine, authentic appreciation for him. And there's some kind of a residual memory in the people. So that as the time loop continues, the people in the town know his name. They know who he is. They have a high esteem for him. And yeah, he does some different things to help people out and to do things the right way. But really, it's the power of repetition that I love the most out of this book, out of this movie. Maybe there is a book behind it, but out of this movie. Because when you're a student of leadership and personal development, one of the things that you learn is you've got to commit to repetition. And I actually have two books that I brought with me today that I wanted to talk about. And to me, these two books are the opposite sides of the same coin. It's the opposite sides of habit. And the first book is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And then the second book is The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And these two books talk about the power of making small changes incremented over time. And when you look at how you learn anything, it's through learn the first principle, learn the second principle, learn the third principle. Okay? Look at how math was taught when I was growing up. First, you learn to count, right? You learned your numbers. And then you learn to count. And then you learn to do math. And then you learn, or simple addition. And then you learn to do some simple division. And you go along and progress little by little, learning this information and these skills so that you can build up to geometry, algebra, physics, statistics, to different forms of math that involve much more thinking, much more cognitive load. But everyone starts with 1, 2, 3, 4. You learn to count. So Atomic Habits talks about those small changes that you need to make, those small consistent changes that you just chip at something, you chip at something, you chip at something continually over and over again. And Slight Edge talks about the importance of planning that. Actually, this talks about that slight edge of again and again and again. And Atomic Habits does too, but it puts it in a way in that you build together your habits. For example, my morning routine has not really changed in its basics since probably 1994. There have been some changes because of different responsibilities, but almost every morning starts with a shower, prayer, scriptures. Those are the three things that start my day. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I start praying when I hit the shower. Sometimes I start praying after I've been out of the shower for like 30 minutes and I've just had some time in peace and quiet. But my day begins with those three things. Now, the great thing is that I've added now a spiritual lecture in the mornings after my scripture study, and while that plays in the background, I do some yoga, I do some push-ups, I do some different body weight movements and exercises to maintain and improve my health. Little changes over time. And those successes add up. And I'm probably the least good example of this because I still have much more improvement to do, especially when we talk about the physical health side. I've got much more improvement to do on the habit building, atomic habit side of building certain actions into my life to be a better husband and a better father, to be a better son to my parents, to be a better brother to my siblings. It's the power of repetition in Groundhog Day that captured my attention. Because one of the things that successful people get really good at is they get good at repetition, the boring, mundane, foot in front of the other, repetition, as some people consider it. I don't have to think about my habit in the morning, my morning routine. And I'm not like, oh yeah, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about it because I built that habit in for so long. Now, some mornings are different. The morning I got up to come on this trip, what did I do? I got up, I showered, I prayed, I got in the car, I prayed some more. I got to the airport, I cleared security, got to my gate, and then I did my scripture study. I listened to the sermon that morning as I was at my gate, waiting for my plane. Yeah, that was a change. When I fly home from this trip, guess what'll happen then? I'll get up, I'll shower, I'll read my scriptures, I'll listen to my lecture, do some of my body weight workout, because I alternate. Then I'll pack my suitcase all the way, get everything done, packed. And then off to the airport on time to turn in the rental car and clear security and be at my gate in plenty of time. And I'm probably going to pull out a book once I hit the gate and read. Because that's something I do, is I read in those cracks of time where I can. So, Atomic Habits by James Clear talks about how he started building good habits little by little. And it started out because he was recovering from a sports injury. And he needed to build in habits again so that he could be successful at sports and at school. And James did that. He figured out how to make little adjustments, how to make little changes. He credits his success in college with the fact that he gave up certain things because he was building his study habits, because he was putting in the little steps every day to make success not automatic, but the habits that build the learning automatic. So he had his routines. He figured out how to do things that worked for him. In Slide Edge, Jeff Olson talks about the 1% improvement, how little improvements over time bring success. One of my favorite stories out of this is that when he was a millionaire, he was having lunch or dinner with his mom or something, and she was older by this point, and they were talking, having a conversation, and he says, talking about being a millionaire, and his mom goes, "That's great. I'm a millionaire too." "Wait, what, mom?" And so then she explained to him how over the years she put a little money away in her retirement, put a little money away in her retirement, put a little money away in her retirement, and built up over time that investment or savings, I forget what it is, to a financial win by the time it was time for her to retire. She had plenty of money in the bank to provide for herself. So I really hope you guys understand that some of the biggest wins in our lives come out of building good habits, continual improvement, accepting that this can be boring and it's not exciting, but that repetition, that power compounds. As one of my mentors, Chris Brady, says, that when you understand compounding, that it works not only in finances, but in personal education, that your learning compounds, that your increase continues to gain. Because as you read one book and then you pick up another book and read it, and you see where they connect, and then your mind grows from that. Or you read somebody's story about the hardships they went through, and then the next week you get a flat tire on the way to your date or on the way to work, or you just are able to learn and take advantage of other people's experiences, to take advantage of other people's wins from their losses. And you get to take advantage of their lives. And I don't mean that in an ugly, negative context. I mean that James Clear writes this book. Okay. I read this book 2, 3, 4 times. I don't remember. And I learn how to make adjustments in my own habits and in my own daily routines so that I can build successful habits into my life and make it better. I read the Slide Edge and I get encouraged in that continual get up, do it again the next day, get up, do it again the next day. Because those improvements do compound. I think in James Clear, he talks about that. If you make a 1% improvement every day for an entire year, you make a 37% improvement year over year. And I believe also James Clear talks about Ben Franklin and his 13 virtues and how he applied that system in how Ben Franklin applied that system in his own life to check himself, to work on the things that he felt he needed to improve to become a better person. And like Ben Franklin's autobiography is in like the top 5 books still sold across the world because the man was a genius and he had some great insights into human potential and how to become the best version of yourself. So, I hope you guys are getting an understanding that the power of repetition, the power of building good habits, repeatable habits, they help you win. It's not It's not automatic. It takes time. It's how you get good in anything. Is a continual practice, the continual getting up, putting in the work, getting up, putting in the work, getting up, putting in the work, right? Going back out to the batting cage and swing. In fact, one of my favorite books, Frank Bettger's How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success, he talks about going out to the batting cage and paying some kids to fetch balls for him. Now he would bat and bat and bat and bat every morning before practice so that he could become a better batter. He got picked up by a professional baseball team, well, professional in his era, and he played baseball professionally for 2 years before he injured his arm. And then he came out of that. He went into insurance and forgot about the power of practice. And then he relearned it. And you look at any successful, I'll say the majority of successful people instead of any successful person. They keep showing up. They keep putting in the work. And they keep making improvements so that they can become better at their profession, at their personal lives, at all different levels. When we show up and put in the work, transformation happens in our lives. It does. And it's a beautiful, amazing thing to see happen, to see people grow and develop. One of the things I love about coaching people and working with them is seeing them get the idea, put it into practice in their own way, put it in practice in an applicable way in their life. And sometimes they struggle. Sometimes they struggle to get it right and to get their routine set. So that way they don't have to think about it. They just do it. They just do it. One of the things that James Clear talks about is that in the habit stacking aspect is go to sleep in your workout clothes. Put your shoes and socks right there when you get up in the morning so that you step on them. Oh, I got to put shoes and socks on, go run. Building routines is one of the greatest hacks to life. They become detrimental too if there's negative activities involved. But the beautiful thing is that when you build positive habits into your life, you make those incremental improvements day after day. You grow and develop and become an amazingly phenomenal person. So look, you can listen to me talk about Atomic Habits by James Clear and The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, but I gotta be honest with you. Get the books. Listen to them, read them, however you do books. If you've read them already, but it's been more than a year, pull them back out. Go through them again. If you're looking for a book because you're not sure where you want to go to read, go to my website. I've got a top 10 list, and then I've got a list of all the books I recommend that has 300 plus books on it. Some are novels, some are biographies, some are histories, some are business and leadership. Find the flavor that works for you. Read 1 page a day, then read 2, then get up to 15 minutes. Well, look, I hope you guys got value from this video. If you like it, if you enjoy the content, please share it, please like it. I'm going to go ahead and sign off and do my morning reading because I've got a book waiting for me right now to read. I hope you guys go out and make it a great day. Hope you guys go out and make it a great month. This is Iron Will.